So in the previous session, we have seen how to load the data from websites, PDFs, exactly similar to this. I can also load the data from JSON and XML. So what is JSON and what is XML? Usually JSON and XML formats are called as your semi-structured data. Why this is called as semi-structured data? Because when we read the data or when we load any data, or when you view the data, you expect the data to be in tabular format. So that means it will have rows, it will have columns, and it will be uh, present in the form of table structure. You would be able to identify the table structures. However, in some data formats, it is not easy to find the rows and columns directly. So in that case, rows and columns exist, but they exist in a different fashion. That's why those type of formats are called as semi-structured data. So in semi-structured data, I have JSON file and I have an XML file. Okay, so let's see how to load the data from an XML file. So let me click here and open an XML file. So XML file is extended markup language. So this language or this extension was invented by Microsoft. So in case of XML file, what happens is the contents are actually stored in the form of XML tags. Okay, so in here, what happens is you try to connect to your you try to store your data in between the tags. So if you see it here, this is what I called as the tag. So this is my starting tag description, and this is my ending tag description, and in between the starting and ending tag you will have values. Exactly similar to this, you have value between author, title, genre, price, published date, description. So everywhere you can see the values are present between this tag. So this is called as tag value. And this parent tag is actually storing the attribute. So this ID equal to what is written between the two greater than and less than equal to signs, we call it as attribute. So this is actually storing the value, or I would say the attribute of that specific tag. So here you have a book tag, which is your parent tag, and within that book tag you have author, title, genre, price, published date, and description. So these are your rows. So if you see, like if I collapse all this, these are the number of rows that I have in my data. Okay, and within each data I have these columns. So I can say that all the book tags that you see, they are usually your rows. Okay, and within the rows, when you see this author, title, price, published date, description, these are your columns. Okay, so in this case you can see that we can understand that this is a data and this is how the data is stored. We can understand rows and columns also, but in this case clearly the data is not arranged in table format or in tabular format. That is why this data format is called as semi-structure format. Okay, XML data is used a lot. Was used a lot in earlier cases in terms of programming. Another use case of XML is payment processing systems. A lot of the payment processing systems in today's world, they still make use of the XML formats. An example of it is Swift format. Okay, so Swift is the payment processing engine which is used all across the world. Every year they release their XMLs and their changes to the XMLs, and those XMLs are actually used for bulk payment transfer. Okay, so in that case the XML format is used. So from here I copy this XML file, I go to get data, I click on more, and from here I select the XML connector. So XML connector will read it. Okay, so it will read the entire XML file and it will automatically convert it into a table. So the reason for this is, in this case, what it is doing is it is actually trying to read the XML file. And since Microsoft has invented this file format, so in this case, there is no processing needed as such. Okay, what it does is it takes the data, okay, and it automatically converts it into a table. So for this, I select XML, I click on connect. Okay, and in here I select the XML file. So projects, datasets, XML, and the book.xml. Okay, so what it will do now is it will connect to this XML and it will automatically convert this XML into a table structure. So if you see the navigator window, in the navigator window, you will see that entire XML data is converted automatically into a table format. Yeah. So this is the table that it is trying to load. And if you click on this table to see the preview of the data, this is how your data looks like. So author, title, genre, price, published date, description, they became your column. Okay, there was one more attribute called as ID, which was stored between the tag. It is also created as new column. So in this case, all the values that are stored within the tag, they are converted into, the tags are converted into columns, and their respective values are converted into their respective rows. So if I feel everything is proper, I can click on this. I can click on transform data, or I can click on load data. Clear with this? This is how the XML is processed. So in case of XML, what happens is you can directly load the data. It will automatically be converted into your table format. Clear with this?
Yes.
Okay. The next format is your JSON file format. So JSON file format is even trickier than this, but yeah, it is used. So what is JSON format? JSON stands for JavaScript object notation. Okay, every time you are doing something on the internet or on the mobile, nowadays it is used, it is JSON is being used to send the data from any application that you talk about. So be it your mobile, be it your laptop, be it your AC, be it your refrigerator, washing machine, any IoT device also you talk about, they are all sending the data in JSON format. JSON is the lightweight format in which you can write any rows, any columns in any order, and then you can send the data. That is the advantage that we are getting, and that is one of the primary reasons why we are using the JSON formats. Okay, so in case of JSON, there is no fixed rule to write the number of rows and number of columns. It all depends on how you want to use the data, how you want to process the data. So let's say I show you this JSON file here. Okay, so in this JSON file, this is how the JSON file content looks like. Okay, now when I start from here, if you carefully observe, in the first row you have a starting curly brace, and in the last row you have this ending curly brace. So this is the I would say the standard rule for JSON file. So all the contents of all the data in your JSON file is usually enclosed between this starting curly brace and ending curly brace. Between this starting curly brace and ending curly brace, you will have data. Okay, so this is your data. So within this starting curly brace and empty curly brace, you have this, then followed by colon, and then followed by this. So what is this? So usually in case of JSON, the data is stored in a different format. So the thing that you see before your colon, we call it as key, and the thing that you see after the colon, we call it as val. So in JSON format, the data is usually stored in the form of key and value pair. For example, this is your employee key, and for employee key, this is the entire data. Okay, when you click on this, you can see this is your user ID key, this is your value, this is your job title key, this is your value, first name, this is the value, last name, this is the value, an employee code, this is the value, region, this is the value, phone number, this is the value, and employee address, email address, this is the value. Same is the case with other data also. So in that case also, the data is stored in the form of key and value pair. Okay, that is how the JSON works. Okay, now in this case, you can also see that within this employees, you have multiple rows. So for example, this is your one row, then this is your second row. Okay, then this is your third row. Clear? So in this case, within the rows, you have these columns. So these keys is what I will call it as my columns. So user ID, job title, first name, last name, employee code, region, phone number, and email address. These are my columns. And with respect to my columns, these are my values. Okay, so John, program directory, John, roads, E5, CA, 22222, john.roads at learningcontainer.com. These are some of the columns and their respective values. Clear with this? Yeah. Now, an important thing to note here is in the previous versions of Power BI, we had to manually convert the JSON to a table structure. But in the newer formats of your Power BI, that is not the case. You don't have to convert anything to any format. You just click on the new source, and from there you can load the file directly. Okay. And it will automatically be converted into a table structure. So in the new source, I will select more, and from here I will select JSON. So from here, I select JSON and I say connect. Now from here, I select the file which I showed you. So there was a JSON file called as sample employee data.json. I select this and I click on open. You will see automatically the data gets converted into a table structure. So in here, there is no processing required as such from our side. It will automatically be converted into a table structure. Okay. So if you see it carefully here, the data is converted into a table structure. So user ID is this key, which is storing the user ID. Then you have job title, first name, last name, employee code, region, phone number, email address. So if you observe here, job title, first name, last name, then region, phone number, email address, these are the fields which usually cover this. Okay, so automatically your data gets converted into your tables. Now, why do I have 4 rows here? Because if you carefully observe here, this is your row number 1, then row number 2, then row number 3, and then row number 4, like that. So here you have 4 rows, 1, 2, 3, 4. That is why you have 4 rows there also. Okay, that's one of the reasons that we have 4 rows. An important thing to remember here in case of JSON is always remember that the JSON data is never converted directly into a table format. There is a step which we have to do. Okay, when you load the data from the JSON file, this is how the data looks like. Okay, then you see the step convert to table. This is the step that you actually perform. So when you perform this step, this is the data that you get. So you get employees and you get this list. Now when you click on this expand button, you get the 4 rows, the 4 rows that we talked about. So we click on expand button and we get the 4 rows. And when you expand these records, then you get the data that is stored within each row. Okay, so in here, in the JSON file, this expand steps can change, but the second step is always going to be convert to table. So always remember this. Okay, so this is your JSON file. Exactly similar to this, I can show you another JSON file processing. So in another JSON file processing, like I said, JSON gives you the complete freedom in the sense you can do whatever you want to do. You can store what in whatever format you want to store. So for example, if I say show you this file, sample employee JSON file. Okay. So in this case, if you see the content of JSON file, this is way different than what you saw earlier, right? This is what you saw earlier, and this is a different content. So in here, you can see some values stored like this directly with the help of keys and values. So this is your key, this is your value, this is your key, this is your value. In certain cases, there are multiple values also stored with the keys. Okay. Even this format can also be converted into JSON. Okay. So in this case also, I'll just select the file and it will. Hello, can you hear me? Hello.
Yes.
Yeah. So what was the part that you guys missed? Okay. So which part did you miss, guys? I mean, my net got connected for a second only, so I don't know.
नहीं कुछ हुआ नहीं मिस
Hello.
कुछ मिस नहीं हुआ
Oh, okay. I thought I missed something. Okay. So in this case, I'll just click on the JSON connector and I'll select the file which I just showed you. This is the file that we are trying to load, guys. Okay. Now this file also gets converted automatically into a table format. The reason we are discussing this is it's an interview question. So this step can change. Okay. This expand step can change for file formats. It depends on file to file. Okay. But this convert to table step, this step that you see after source, it will always be there in case of JSON file. Always remember this. For example, when you load the JSON file data, this is how the data looks like, source. But then you click on convert to table, then the data gets converted into a table, and this is how the table looks like. Once you have converted this into a table, then the next step that you do is you click on this expand button. When you click on expand button in the pets column, you have two values here, right? Dog and cat. So when you expand this pets column, what you get is two rows, one for dog, one for cat. And when you expand this address in address column or in address field, we have two more columns, permanent address and current address. So when I expand this, I get permanent address and I get current address. Okay. So when I expand this last step, I get the two more columns called as current address and permanent address.
sir hello
Yeah.
do we have any control over whether to expand in a row or in a column
See,
it is automatically to
yeah, it is automatically done. Just to give you the introduction. Okay. But in this case, I'll give you a trick. Okay. I didn't wanted to go into the details. That's why I didn't tell you. Okay. But the trick here is on the type of brackets that you see. Okay. So whenever you see this square brackets, okay, the square brackets usually points towards list. Okay. And whenever you expand the list, you get new rows. Okay. And if you see the current address, the address field, in address you have curly braces, and within curly braces you have two columns. So whenever you click on the curly braces, okay, it will always give you new columns. Okay. So square brackets will always give you the new rows, and the curly braces will always give you new columns. Same theory applies to this table also. If you see it carefully here you have this square bracket. When you expand this square brackets, you get four rows, 1, 2, 3, 4. And when you expand these four rows, then you get the respective columns, new columns. Okay. So square brackets for list, that means expanding list will give you new rows. And the second option is the curly braces. So when you expand curly braces, you will get the new columns. I hope this is clear now.
yes sir Yep, it's clear, sir.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So this is how this works. They always tell you to select something. Sometimes there are multiple choice questions. Always remember, select the option where the convert to table is the first step. Okay. Then only you can select it. That is how this thing works. Okay. Any questions? Okay, good. Now every step that you are doing is actually captured in an editor, which we call it as advanced editor. So you can see this advanced editor option here. When you click on advanced editor for any table, you will see the list of steps that you have applied so far. Okay, so these are the steps that you have applied, which are actually stored within this advanced editor option. So this language is what we call it as mQuery language. So with the help of mQuery, this entire code has been written. So if you know mQuery, you can write your code here by yourself. Okay, so this is the mQuery part, or this is the advanced editor part. Okay. Yeah. Anything, any other question, guys? Anurag, Swapnil, Atul, Pooja, Dushant.
No, sir, not from my side.
No, sir.
Okay, okay. Yeah, so this was the Power Query. Okay, the entire Power Query. We have covered most of the options. These options we are not covering AI analytics, because for that we are require actually an Azure account and it will be built. So that is why we don't use the machine learning part here. Of course, for machine learning, I have other options. The next thing is this parameter. So this is an advanced topic. So I'll show you this advanced.
Voice not audible.
Voice not audible.
Okay. Hello. How is it now?
Okay.
Okay. So I don't know what's happening. The internet gets restarted or something like that. So I was saying that we didn't cover this AI insights part here because this is related to your machine learning. That's why we don't do it. There is one section remaining here, which is called as parameters. So parameters are the variables which you can create in your Power Query and you can use it in your code. So that is something which we'll see in the later sessions, in the advanced sessions. But for now, most of the part of this Power Query is done. Okay. So this is your Power Query. Now we will move to Power BI desktop. Okay. So I'll just click on close and apply here. Okay. And now we'll start the visualization part. Okay, so this is the right hand side, which you see the visualization section. That is the part that we are going to start today. So I'm going to cover only two visualizations. So practice those two visualizations, deep dive into those two visualizations. Okay, in the next session we'll continue from there. Okay, so what we will do is we'll start the session. Okay, so these visualizations that you see on the right hand side, we call them as default and certified visualizations. Reason being is they are the default visualizations that are provided to you. Why we call them as certified visuals is they ensure that no data is going outside the internet. Okay, so any report, anything that you are preparing, it stays within the Power BI desktop. It doesn't go outside and it is not shared with any third party. That is why we call them as default and certified visualizations. But in case if you are interested to get any new visuals, then you can click on these three dots and you can click on this get more visuals. So when you click on this get more visuals, what it will do is it will go to the marketplace, the Power BI marketplace called as app source, and from that it will try to get the visualizations. Okay, so new visualizations can also be imported from here. Okay, so let me load my financial sample file because that is what I'm going to use. Okay, so the first visualization that we will see is called as bar diagram. So usually whenever there is a mention of keyword like based, PASED, by, category, per, then in that case we usually go for bar diagram. Okay, so bar diagram is used to show the categorical distribution of value or per category values based on different categories. If I want to see such things, then bar diagram is the correct choice for this cases. Now in case of Power BI, we have been given 6 bar diagrams which you see in the first row. These are all bar diagrams. Now it depends on you and it depends on your representation in your report, what you want. Based on that you can decide whether you want to use it or whether you want to use which type of visualizations. Okay, so let's start. I have loaded the financial sample. So the first diagram that we will see is called as this clustered column chart. So let's start from here. So I click on this clustered column chart. This filter. Now we will deep dive into each and every field here. Okay, so whenever you select bar diagrams, you're going to get these options. So the first option is axis, then we have legend, then we have values, then we have small multiples, and then we have tooltip. Okay, so anything that you want to go on x-axis will be in the axis column. Anything that you want to go on y-axis will be in the values section. And if you want to add one more non-numerical field, if you want to split your data again by one more non-numerical field, then in that case you can use the legend field. Okay, then we have the tooltip information. So tooltip is usually used to add the information to existing visualizations. So in websites we have tooltips. So what tooltip does in website is it will just show additional information. That's it. So if I want to show any additional information, then in here also I can use the tooltip option. Okay, so let's start with very basics. So from here onwards, I will not click on check boxes. I will just drag the field. So I want to create a graph, okay, between sales and product. So product is a non-numerical field. So product should go to axis. So let me drag the product from here to here. So this is my product. The next thing is sales. So sales is a numerical value. So numerical values always go into this value section. So select this and do it. Okay, you can see the graph is automatically created. This is your graph. Now in this case of in this graph, what it has done is it has added all the total sales values and it has splitted those sales values based on your product. Okay, so you can see this is the thing that it is doing here. So it is showing you the total sales and it is dividing the total sales with respect to the product. But where is this decided? So it is decided in this drop down. So if you click on this drop down, you can see by default the sum operation is selected. So what you have plotted as of now is sum of sales by product. But let's say I want to plot the average sales by product. So in that case, instead of sum, select average. Then the same visualization will show you the average sales per product. So this is your average sales by product. Similar to this, if I want minimum sales, I can select minimum sales from here. Exactly similar to this. If I like maximum sales, I'll say maximum sales by product. If you want to plot count, so let's say I want to plot count distinct sales, so I can plot the count distinct. So basically count distinct will give me the different values, different sales values. So here are my count distinct. If I want to plot all the counts, the number of rows for each product, then in that case I can use the count function also. So this will give me the count of sales rows, okay, for products. From here you can use standard deviation, variance, and median also. Okay, so this is how you can change the formula from here, and you can automatically get the visualizations. Okay, so from here I'll just go back to my sum. Okay, so here I'm back to my sum. So now it will show me the sum of sales with respect to my product. Okay, now in here, let's say if you want to change the name of these fields, so you can change the name of these fields also. So let's say if I want to change this column name from sales to total sales, because this is not sales value, this is the total sales value that is here. So for that I have an option here called as rename for this visual. So when you click on this rename for this visual, you can rename it to anything for now. I'll just say total sales. So when I select this total sales, you'll see the y-axis name has changed and the visualization name has also changed here. You can see here total sales by product, it is displaying. Same thing you can do for product also. If you want, you can change the name of the product also. Any questions so far? Anurag, Swapnil, anyone?
No, sir.
Okay, now we have the next field. The next field which I talked about was tooltip. So let's say I am on this visualization, I am on this total sales by product, and I put my cursor on this bar. So what do I see here? Total sales by product. So in this case, when I put my cursor on this bar, so it is saying product name is Passio and the total sales is 33 million. When I put my cursor on the second bar, I see the second detail. When I put on the third, I see the detail. So this black window where you see the product name and where you see the total sales is what we call as the tooltip. Okay, so in tooltip by default, the columns that you are using is shown. So in this case, we have used product and sales column. That is why it is showing the product and the total sales information in this box. Okay, but let's say I want to show the profit also in the same visualization. Okay, but I don't want to change the visualization. I just want to add the information in the tooltip. So for that case, I have been given the option of tooltip. So let's say if I want to use the product profit in the tooltip section, so I'll just pull this profit and then I will just put it in my profit column. Okay, so when you put this in this profit column, did you see anything changing in the visualization? No. Then what did exactly change? The tooltip has changed. Okay, so now when I put my cursor on the bar, you can see, I can see the product name, I can see the respective total sales, and just below total sales, I can see the respective profit also. So now along with your total sales, it is also showing you the total profit here within the same bar diagram. And the advantage of tooltip is nothing is changing here. Whatever was there is still there. Clear with this? Yeah.
टूलटिप में राउंड कर सकते हैं क्या?
Sorry,
टूलटिप में फिगर को राउंड अप कर सकते
किसको इसको?
हैं? हाँ, मतलब ये मिलियन में अगर देखना हो तो ओनली वन
हाँ
figure in million.
कर सकते हैं वो ऑप्शन देखेंगे हम लोग, अभी नहीं देखेंगे, अभी तो मैं बस बेसिक कर रहा हूँ। ठीक है, यहाँ पे एक फॉर्मेट करके ऑप्शन होता है, तो ये फॉर्मेट में जाके कुछ भी चेंज कर सकते हैं, बार्स, कलर्स, एक्स एक्सेस, वाई एक्सेस, नंबर को राउंड ऑफ करना है तो राउंड ऑफ भी कर सकते हैं, वो सारी चीजें कर सकते हैं।
Okay.
ठीक है,
Yes.
yeah. Abhi, similar to this, you have one more field here called as legend. So what is this legend? So in legend field, you usually add the non-numeric fields. Okay, so any non-numeric field, if I want to add it here, I can add it. So let's say you have total sales by product, but apart from total sales by product, you also want to see the total sales by discount band also. So total sales for each product, and within each product, you want to see the respective sales for discount band also. So for that case, you can add a legend. Okay, so just see what happens when I add the legend field here. Okay, can you see the difference here? So in this case, what happened is the moment you added this discount band, the one bigger bar that you had, so this was the bigger bar that you had, passive 33 million, right? The moment you add this discount band in the legend, that each and every bar gets splitted into multiple smaller bars. See it here? So in this case, one big bar got splitted into multiple smaller bars now. Okay, and if you carefully see the visualization, in this visualization, what is happening is you have 4 discount bands: high, low, medium, and none. That's why you have 4 legends here. So this is your legend: high, low, medium, none. So each and every bar is shown in different colors. But if you can see, for every product, the 4 bars are kind of joined together. There is no gap between these 4 bars, right? Here also the 4 bars are joined. Here also the 4 bars are joined. Here also 4 bars joined, 4 bars joined. So in short, what I can say is there is no gap between the bars, and the bars are clustered together. So this graph that I have selected here, which you see here, its name is clustered column chart. Clear with this? Any questions?
No, sir.
Yeah. So this is your clustered column chart. Now an exact representation, I would say an alternate representation of the same bar diagram is called as this clustered bar chart. So if you want to change from this visualization to this visualization, all you have to do is just click on the visualization, and automatically this visualization is converted into this. Okay, so let me click here. So in this case, you can see the data and bar and everything is same, except that in the previous case, the x-axis was vertical, x-axis was horizontal and y-axis was vertical. In this case, your x-axis is vertical and y-axis is horizontal. So you can see total sales here in the horizontal axis and the product on the y-axis. Okay, so this is your clustered bar chart, and this is your clustered column chart. Okay, so when I click on this, I am back to this data. Clear with this? This is how your clustered column chart looks like. Okay, and now there is one more field here called as small multiples. So what I have done so far is I'll just remove this field for now. Okay, so I'm back to my base. So this is my total sales by product. So let's say I see this total sales by product, right? But instead of seeing the total sales by product, I want to see 4 different graphs for 4 discount bands. So in the discount band, I have 4 values: high, medium, low, and none. So what I want to do is I want to prepare 4 different graphs for high, low, medium, and discount band, and each graph should have total sales and total product. Okay, so total sales by product is what I want to prepare in smaller graphs. Then instead of putting them in legend, I can put them in the small multiples. So what small multiple will do is it will take the unique values from this discount band and it will prepare 4 smaller subgraphs. Okay, see what happens now when I add the discount band in the small multiples. Okay, so in this case you can see total sales by product and discount band. So you can see the same graph, total sales and product, is prepared for 4 different discount bands. So this is your high, this is your low, this is your medium, and this is your none. This is what we usually call as subgraph. So if I want to prepare any subgraphs, then in that case I can make use of this values section. I can make use of this small multiple section, and based on this small multiple section I can prepare my graphs. Clear with this?
So can you repeat this?
Yeah,
Making
so
this 4-1.
yes, so I'll just explain it from a different angle. Okay, so usually in case of visualizations we have one concept called as subgraphs. Okay, so this subgraph concept comes from Python and R visualization. So in Python and R, what I can do is I can take one graph area, and within that graph area I can plot multiple graphs. Okay, so that is usually called as subgraphs. Okay, let me show you the subgraphs in Python. You'll understand it very clearly. So subgraphs, Python. So this is the recent feature which is added in Power BI also. So this is how the subgraph works. Okay, so we also call them as subplots. Hello, am I audible?
Yes.
Can you see my screen? Yeah, so this is what we call it as subgraph. So within one graph area, within this one graph area, okay, you can see that the multiple graphs are plotted. So okay, so this is what we usually call as the subgraph or subplots. Now in case of Power BI, if I want to prepare the subgraphs or subplot, for that I have given this small multiple option. So what small multiple does is it takes the same graph and it plots it for different type of data. So in the previous case, if you remember, I had total sales and I had the product. So this was the overall data. This is for all the rows present in this financial. So I have total sales and I have product, and they are plotted against each other. But in this case, what I want to do now is I want to create a subgraph. Okay, and I want to create the subgraphs for the different categories of discount band. So in that case, what I can do is I can pull this discount band and I can put it in the small multiples. So when I put it here, what it does is it takes the unique values from discount band. So discount band column has 4 unique values: high, medium, low, and none. Okay, so based on this high, medium, low, and none, what it will do is it will prepare 4 different smaller graphs, and each graph will contain their respective data. So this is what we call it as small multiples. Okay, I'll give you another example. I have this country column also. So this country column has 5 unique values: Germany, France, Canada, Mexico, United States of America. So if I pull this graph, or if I pull this country column in the small multiples, it will prepare 5 sub smaller graphs, and each graph will represent the total sales by product for their respective country. So let me pull it from here and put it in the small multiples. Now we will have 5 sections. So one for Canada, one for France, one for Germany, one for Mexico, and if you scroll to the bottom, one for United States of America also. Okay, so same total sales and same product, but for 5 different countries it is showing. So this one complete area that you see is your graph area, and these graphs that you see, we usually call them as subplot or subgraphs. Clear with this?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So this is your clustered column chart, and this is your clustered bar chart. Now this is what we have seen so far, only the field section. Apart from field section, we have format section and we have analytics section. So this is something which we'll see in the next session. So with the help of format, I can format my visualization, change my y-axis, change my x-axis, change my bar colors. I can change the background of my visualization. I can I can add the labels to the bars, different bars, all those options we'll see. And in the analytics, I can add the different lines. So that option is also something which we'll see in the next session. So